with the class. Thank you for your patience. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Anything else for us?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami March's daily class. Today we are continuing with our Srimad Bhagavatam study of second canto, chapter number 6, Purusha Sukta confirmed. And today's verse is number 36. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'll share my screen, Maharaj.
Okay.
It's okay. Yes, Maharaj, please take over. Hare Krishna.
You can put this in the top, right? Up there. It'll fit here. Right here.
I'll put it here, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah. You're on mute, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'm having some
Okay.
internet problems on this level. It could jump off any time, so.
Okay.
Natos maham chacharanam samay. Natos maham chacharanam samyusam. Avachchidam swa ajanam sumungalam. Yo yatma maya vibhavam smaparyagad. Yata navaswantam ata pare kutaha. Translation. Therefore, it is best for me to surrender unto his feet, which alone can deliver one from the miseries of repeated birth and death. Such surrender is all auspicious and allow one to perceive all happiness. Even the sky cannot estimate the limit of its own expansion. So what can others do when the Lord himself is unable to estimate his own limits? Purport. Lord Brahma, the greatest of all learning beings, the greatest sacrificer, the greatest observer of the austere life, and the greatest self-realized mystics, advises us as the supreme spiritual master of all living beings that one should simply surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord in order to achieve all success, even up to the limit of being liberated from the miseries of material life and being endowed with all auspiciousness, spiritual existence. Lord Brahma is known as Pitamaha, or Father's Father. A young man consults his experienced father about discharging his duty. So the father is naturally a good advisor, but Lord Brahma is the father of all fathers. He is the father of Manu, who is the father of mankind all over the universal planets. Therefore, the men of this insignificant planet should kindly accept the instructions of Brahmaji and would do well to surrender unto his lotus feet of the Lord rather than try to estimate the length and breadth of the Lord's potencies. His potencies are immeasurable as confirmed in the Vedas. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaya Suryate Swabhavika Jnana Balakriya Cha. Sweta Swatara Upanishad 6.8. He is the greatest of all and others, and all the greatest of all living beings, namely Brahmaji, admits that the best thing for us is to surrender unto him. Therefore, only those persons with a very poor fund of knowledge claim that they themselves are lords of all they survey. And what can they survey? They cannot survey even the length and breadth of a small sky in one small universe. The so-called material scientists say that he would need to live 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of the universe being carried by a Sputnik. This is also utopian because no one can be expected to live 40,000 years. Besides, the space pilot returns from his travel. None of his friends will be present to receive him back as the greatest astronaut, as has become fashionable for modern bewildered scientific men. One scientific man who had no belief in God was very enthusiastic in making plans for his material existence, and therefore opened a hospital to save the living. But after opening the hospital, he himself died within 6 months. So one should not spoil his human life, which is attained after many changes of bodies in 8,400,000 species of life, simply for the concocted material happiness of life through increasing artificial needs in the name of advancement of economic development and scientific knowledge. Rather, one should simply surrender unto the feet of the Lord to make a solution to all miseries of life. That is the instructions of Lord Krishna in the Gita, and that instructions of Bhagavatam by Brahma, the Supreme Father of all living beings. Anyone denying this surrendering process, as recommended both in the Gita and the Bhagavatam, for that matter, in all authorized scriptures, will be forced to surrender to the laws of material nature. A living entity, by his constitutional position, is not independent. He must surrender either to the Lord or unto the material nature. Material nature is also not independent of the Lord, since the Lord himself has claimed, as Mama Maya, his energy, my energy, Me Bini Prakriti Astada, my separate energies, 8 divisions. Therefore, material nature is controlled by the Lord as claimed in the Bhagavad Gita. Maya Daksena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharan. Under my direction only is material nature working, and thus all living beings moving. All living beings, being superior energy to matter, have a choice and discrimination, either to surrender unto the Lord or surrender unto the material nature. By surrendering unto the Lord, one is happy and liberated. By surrendering unto material nature, the living entity suffers. So the end of all suffering means surrendering unto the Lord, because the surrendering process itself is bhavajidam, liberation from all material miseries. Swasyayanam, perception of all happiness. And sumangalam, the source of everything, auspicious. Therefore, liberty, happiness, and all good fortune can be attained only by surrendering unto the Lord, because he is full liberty, full happiness, full auspiciousness. Such liberation and happiness are also unlimited, and they have been compared to the sky, although such liberation and happiness are infinitely greater than the sky. In our present position, we simply understand the magnitude of greatness when it's compared to the sky. We fail to measure the sky, but the happiness and liberty obtained in association of the Lord are far greater than the sky. That spiritual happiness is so great that it cannot be measured even by the Lord himself, not to speak of others. It said in the scriptures, Brahma Sokya Tvanantam. Spiritual happiness is unlimited. It is said that even the Lord cannot measure such happiness. This doesn't mean that the Lord cannot measure it, and therefore imperfect in that sense. The actual position, the Lord can measure it, but the happiness in the Lord is also identical with the Lord on account of absolute knowledge. So the happiness derived from the Lord may be measured by the Lord, but the happiness again increases, and the Lord measures it again, and then again happiness increases more and more. And the Lord measures it more and more, and as such there is eternally a competition between increment and measurement, so much so that the competition is never stopped, but goes on unlimited ad infinitum. Spiritual happiness is anandam buddhi vardhanam, or an ocean of happiness which increases. The material ocean is stagnant, but the spiritual ocean is dynamic. Krishna Das Kaviraj has very nicely described this dynamic increment of the ocean of spiritual happiness and the transcendental person of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Omagyan timidandasya ginajana salakaya chaksun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutalai Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Paschatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhupe Bacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, everyone is looking for happiness. Everyone is looking for Krishna, because Krishna represents that happiness everyone is looking for. And what is the quality of that happiness? It is never ending, and it is always becoming greater and greater. That is the nature of the soul. The soul's relationship with anything brings about some type of satisfaction to a limited or to a even greater degree, because that's the nature of the soul. The soul wants happiness and it uses the body to find it. Using the body, the mind, and the senses, it connects with the objects of the senses, and there is some kind of experience through that connection, which gives this sense of happiness, which is really a relief from the anxiety of the suffering that the living entity is going through. Because that relief is temporary, it cannot give real satisfaction, and therefore one continues in the search or pursuit of happiness. But happiness is the nature of the absolute truth. We say that God is always happy, always in a joyful condition, because he has nothing to lament about. He is full in himself. He is completely self-satisfied. He needs nothing outside of himself to give him satisfaction and happiness. And he's inviting others to come to associate with him and experience at least a portion of that unlimited ocean of happiness. As it's mentioned here, anandam buddhi vardhanam. That happiness is like a deep ocean, which is always increasing, but never measurable. As you cannot measure the limits of the sky, you cannot measure the depths of the ocean also. So, in that sense, these analogies are given as ways to understand what is the nature of that happiness we're looking for. It's great. It's great and powerful, and it's unending. And so that can only be found in Krishna, not anywhere else, because the material world works in such a way that things are always changing. And therefore, whatever situation we find some happiness, that situation will change very quickly and bring about the opposite in most cases. But that happiness, because we're looking for it, that indicates that it exists. Why does everyone want to be happy? Why does everyone want to live forever? Because that's our nature. But in this realm of material life, we are limited and therefore those desires cannot be fulfilled. Therefore, people are artificially trying to bring about a situation which cannot happen. One cannot live forever in this world, and one cannot experience unlimited happiness here, or even any long-term happiness. So therefore, people they acquiesce and they settle for something less than their true nature just so they can somehow live in this world. But still, that becomes less and less as time goes on. That is the nature of this world. It withers away anything achievable in due course of time. But Krishna, because he's the source of everything, because he's the source of everything, and because he's all good, he can provide that happiness we're looking for. But that's found in him through service to him, which is the nature of the soul's existence. So when we serve the Lord and center our life around activities that are representing service to the Lord, then we find a type of happiness that appears for no apparent reason. It's appearing for no apparent reason. Why? Because we accept this material world as a place of struggle. And there, when some benefit comes from the struggle or some temporary happiness, the soul becomes somewhat pacified. But because the nature is temporary, it's lost again. So this whole cycle continues, life after life after life, trying to find happiness in a place. There's a nice story that kind of illustrates how living entities are existing in this material world. There's one man, he's looking on the ground, he's looking, and his friend comes along and says, did you lose something? I can see you're looking for something. He said, yes, I lost some money. He said, oh, I'll help you. So they're both looking. After some time, the friend says, are you sure you lost the money here? He said, no, I lost it. And he points down the road. He said, but there's more light here. So what does that speak? That speaks about the nature of this conditioned souls. We think that this world will give you happiness because we can perceive it through the senses. But it can't. And therefore, the happiness that is available is hidden within our own heart. There's a particular animal called the deer. And the deer, there's a kind of deer called the musk deer. And the musk deer, he's always jumping around looking for that smell that is so enchanting, and that is the smell of musk. But he doesn't understand that that smell is coming from him. And therefore, he's looking all around trying to find that smell. But actually, it's coming from him within his own navel. So in the same way, the living entity is looking for happiness outside in this world through friends, family members, and various contacts with the senses. But no one is finding that. But there is that happiness. And where is that happiness? It's within the heart of the living entity. And therefore, to find it, stop looking for it outside and looking for it inside. And devotion to Krishna brings one's consciousness inward towards one's own heart or one's own internal mood. And then when one cultivates the internal mood, the external mood automatically becomes more and more apparent in the life of a devotee. And then the devotee finds happiness. So that it's only on the spiritual platform, not on this material platform. And everyone continues to look for happiness, and they're writing books, how to become happy, how to make friends and influence people, how to become expert in whatever you're doing. So everyone they're trying to derive happiness in different ways, but all they do is struggle looking for it, finding a little satisfaction, and then being very disappointed within a few moments as it leaves them. Now, this is the nature of the material world. But that happiness is found in Krishna through the process of devotional Krishna, especially through Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, and remembering Krishna through the process of hearing and chanting. And that awakens that happiness which is in the heart. It's not that we're getting it from the outside, although we might perform activities that are external. The happiness is coming from within, because the soul is within, and the soul becomes activated through the process of connecting with its own nature, spiritual activities or devotional service. So stop wasting time in this material world to try to become happy. We have some responsibilities to do to family and others. We do them just to get them done and do them nicely. But our happiness is on the spiritual platform. Our happiness is in connection with Krishna and the process of devotional service. And that's the only place you can find it. You can't find it anywhere else because it doesn't exist anywhere else. Although apparently we are led to believe by the propagandists, mongers in this world, that if you get this, if you go this place, or if you meet that person, you'll find happiness. And everyone is trying these same processes. And the world continues to go down. Quality of life is going down. Why? Because people becoming frustrated in their attempts to become happiness become more and more sinful in order to find some satisfaction, which is frustration of the desire of the unfulfilled desire for happiness. So that's on the spiritual. Susukam kartamavyayam. The process is pleasant and is very joyful. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. It is full of ananda, or transcendental bliss. So chanting, dancing, taking prasadam, associating with devotees, serving Vaishnavas. There's so many activities. There's 9 angas of bhakti, and they all bring transcendental satisfaction and ultimately happiness. So stop looking for it in the wrong place, and you'll find it in the right place. Before you can find it in the right place, you have to give up the desire to find it in the material energy. And that becomes hard, not because because it is hard, but because of our conditioning to look towards this material world for satisfaction, happiness. And there's one story where one man, he hears about this great treasure that is there somewhere in the world, and he makes it his life mission to find that treasure. And so he reads maps and gets advice from different sources. He's traveling all over, following his maps, but he's not finding it anywhere. And after some time, he gets old and he dies. They take his body and they bring him back to his home. And then they dig a hole in the backyard to place his body in. And guess what? When they dig a hole, they find a treasure. Treasure was in his backyard. So that's analogous, that happiness is within you. And when you find it within yourself, you can find it outside. If you look from the outside, you'll never find it either outside or inside. It starts with finding it in yourself. And that is the process of bhakti. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for explaining this purport. Very lengthy purport. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, any questions or comments or realizations, please go ahead. And thank you, Maharaj, for take on this topic, happiness. So I have a comment like devotees are always busy in services from one service to another, and they don't have time at all, I think, to find out whether they are happy or not, or to look for happiness. So doing our duties and doing various services in Krishna consciousness, that's all is, I feel like it's all full packed day or full packed schedule of a devotee.
So the question is?
No, I don't have any question, Maharaj. I just commented that devotees are always full packed with the services and they don't look for any happiness, I guess, while doing it. Yeah.
Prahlad Maharaj gives the formula. He said, if you want to be happy, just do one thing, stop trying to become happy.
Mm.
He said, if you can find happiness through devotional service, but if you're looking for happiness, you won't be able to find it. So we think, well, this will make me happy if I go here, if I do this, I might meet this person. So we make plans, but stop making plans and just engage in devotional service. And devotional service is automatically is susukam kartam avyayam. It is very joyfully performed.
Yeah.
Happiness will come without you trying for it.
Mm. So that's why we keep on coming to the same platform. Like we don't want to lose Krishna consciousness, or we don't want to lose the services or the association of the devotees, right, Maharaj? Like, because we are getting the inner satisfaction and happiness.
Yeah. If devotional service wasn't producing happiness, then how can devotees do that for 30, 40, 50 years?
Mm.
Or even longer, or even for a whole lifetime?
Yeah.
No one can do something for such an extended period of time and say, well, I was never happy. It's not true.
As much.
Even people in the material world, they need some relief from their struggles. And therefore, when I get a little relief, I consider, well, that must be indicating that I'm on the right path. But it's not. It's just somehow, due to the movement of the material energy, one gets a little relief from the struggle of trying to find happiness, and one feels a little peaceful. But then, because of the nature of the material world is ashashvatam, it's temporary, it just ends very quickly. It comes and goes as fast as it can. People think that sex life is happiness. And so the whole buildup for sex life is this anticipation of happiness. But one engages in sex life, in a few seconds, it's all over. And then all of that energy, time, effort, and whatever else they put into it is gone in less than 10 seconds. And they think, oh, and they're back down again. So, we see how fleeting the so-called happiness in this world is. And the Acharyas say that there is a drop of happiness in this material world, and it's called family life. They call it one drop. But we're looking for an ocean. We want unlimited happiness. That's our nature. And so we accept these things as being indication that there's something else there. If you get a drop of happiness, you think there must be more drops around somewhere. But that drop just doesn't really expand beyond its drop-like size.
Yes.
We have to understand one thing. If you understand this clearly, then you'll stop. This material world is designed to frustrate your desire for happiness. It's designed like that because Krishna arranged it like that so you don't become comfortable here. So you have an impetus to get out of this place. So the Lord, he could make a paradise even in this material world, but that would be contrary to the idea of surrender to the Lord, because the material energy works to inspire people to give up their desire for happiness, because whatever they gain is simply a hard struggle. And then they lose it very quickly. So if you understand that Krishna's statement, Dukalayam asastratam, it's temporary, it's miserable. So when the Lord says something, he's not trying to make some campaign. He's telling you exactly the way it is. And then, but people accept suffering as happiness, and they think that's happiness.
Mhm.
And when we look at the non-devotees, we see what are their ways of getting happiness. They work hard, they get some money, and they just feed their bellies, and they go to sleep, they have sex life, or they get intoxicated and speak all kinds of nonsense. So when a devotee sees that and observes that, thinks, oh, what do they get out of all that? It's just a waste of time. But when the devotee goes to kirtan, immediately the sound of Krishna's names fill their ears and enter into their hearts, and they start dancing. And then they're happy. As long as the kirtan go on, the devotees can keep going. We had a kirtan this morning. It was really great. It was about an hour.
Yeah.
So, and we could have went further, but there was some scheduled class after the kirtan, so we surrendered to the class. But so kirtan is a fast track to happiness.
Yes, Maharaj.
Provided you absorb yourself in it.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Sri Devi Mataji, please go ahead. Dear devotees, please turn on your cameras if possible.
Thank you, Srimati. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Guru Maharaj, we experience this also ourselves, that, as we come into the kirtan, as we see the beautiful form of the Lord, we see the devotees dancing so ecstatically. It's so wonderful, and we feel very happy. So, in spite of knowing the process, in spite of practicing the process, we also see that some devotees who have been around for many years. I can recall my time in America in one particular place where 20 years, 25 years, 27 years, they were, engaged, but their relationships and their manner of speech, their attitudes were so difficult because they were either grumpy or angry or harsh. And I kept thinking, when I grow up in Krishna consciousness, I don't want to be like this. So, what is it that, where have we gone wrong in the process of bhakti, that we carry forward these ungentle, harsh behaviors, and then as we grow old, everyone wants to avoid us?
So what's the question? You're on mute.
Mataji,
Yeah.
Sorry. The question is, what are the pitfalls, or what should we avoid as we are practicing bhakti, so that even unwholesome traits or some difficult behaviors, all those also eliminated, and we don't grow old and grumpy and mean and harsh with others?
Grumpy, huh? So there's no statements that say, in other words, if you're there's things that bhakti is anukulena, and it's also pratikul, accepting things that are favorable and things that are unfavorable, and rejecting. So learn what to do and what to avoid, that's all. We have to be careful not to commit offenses. That takes away from our happiness, takes away from our enthusiasm to serve also. The Bhagavad nectar of instructions, nectar devotions, talk about things that we have to avoid. And there's a listing. And so emphasize the things that are favorable and avoid the things that are unfavorable. Attachment to the results of the act. That's the biggest problem I think devotees have. They're attached to the results. They do something in order to get something from it. But that's not bhakti. Bhakti means I perform an activity for the pleasure of the Lord and for the pleasure of the devotees. If I'm looking for some personal gain, that pollutes the process of bhakti. It doesn't bring you unhappiness, but at the same time, it doesn't bring you happiness either. So avoid doing things that are contrary to bhakti. There's the 10 offenses. We avoid those. We have the 4 regulative principles. We restrict ourselves from these activities. So life means restriction, control. The animals are controlled by their nature under the influence of the material nature, but the living entities have free will, and therefore we misuse our free will in order to explore the different opportunities for enjoyment in this world. And people will do many things that go even beyond what is considered to be acceptable, moral, just to experience some kind of pleasure. There's people who get pleasure by causing other people suffering. They go out of their way to make other people miserable, and they get pleasure from that. So that's sadistic. There's people who cause harm to themselves purposely because they get pleasure from that also. That's masochistic. So there's all kinds of perversions in this material world, in the activities that we perform. But devotional service means, all right, I have to serve the Lord, so let me do it as nicely can, offer it to the Lord and pray that he will accept my offering. That's that simple as that. What can we do? We're not so proficient at so many things, so we can do something and offer it to the Lord. And Krishna never says, you have to offer me big, palaces or a lot of money. He says, Patram Pushram Phalam Tayam Yome Bhakti Panashati. He said, whatever you do it with bhakti, with devotion. Do it to please me. It's that simple. But the material world will complicate everything and make it seem the simple seems to be the most boring thing. But for devotee, the simple things actually are very satisfying.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. My humble obeisances.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Sonal Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances to all the devotees as well. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, I have this question regarding happiness after coming to Krishna consciousness. So sometimes, or for me at least, once I became a bit stable in Krishna consciousness, suddenly there were difficulties, material difficulties or physical difficulties. But the difference was that this time I could see why the difficulty arose in the first place. So it was because of certain of my shortcomings in my nature or my behavior, these difficulties I was in. So I guess these are my anarthas, which is causing the recurrent pattern of difficulties. So is it correct to understand that we will not have the complete bliss in devotional service until we get rid of all our anarthas?
Well, nartas they block, but you can make progress through the different stages of bhakti and still have anartas. But the ones that are the most dangerous are the ones that are offenses. Offenses to the Lord, offenses to the holy name, offenses to the Vaishnavas, offenses to people in general. These things, if we're very careful to avoid these things, gradually we'll always be experiencing a satisfaction and happiness in devotional service. It's offenses that's watered down the taste of bhakti. So the word aparad means offense, and the word aparad, A-P-A-R-A-D-H-A, means against Radha. Aparada. Aparada. So yeah, it's against pure devotionals. So if we can avoid the fences, therefore we have to learn what they are and how to avoid them. You'll make nice progress in devotional service. But if you're attached to something material and you can't give it up, that becomes a block. And then Krishna does everything he can to enlighten us, to show us that this is what's holding you back.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah, like Prabhupada, when Prabhupada began the Krishna conscious movement, the devotees who were coming there, the new people, they were going to the classes, and then in between classes, they would go out and take a cigarette, come back in. And Prabhupada said, don't let that little thing stand between you and Krishna. So bhakti requires some sacrifice. And what are we sacrificing? We're sacrificing those things that we have developed attachments for due to our association for many lifetimes in this material world. You'll see people develop certain natures based on their activities, and that causes them to think and act in a certain way. But if that thinking and acting is unbeneficial for others and for oneself, then that becomes a block in one's Krishna consciousness. So there's where the chanting of the holy name purifies not only the activity, but the consciousness that led to the activity. So the holy name is the fast track that destroys anarthas fast. But we have to be careful. We chant the holy name, we get rid of some anarthas, and then we go back doing the same thing we did before. And then we're back to square one again. So take the purification, but don't slide back. Realize what is your blocks, what is your anarthas in Krishna consciousness. Try to avoid them, and at the same time stay fixed in your chanting and serving.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Rupa Goswami explains Utsaya Nistaya Darya Tat Tat Karma Vivartanam, like that. Okay, so watch your pattern of activities, and you say you can see what's causing you problems. There's certain behavior problems, certain attitude you have. Then see how that can be adjusted to bring about, a very satisfying activity. Because we should be satisfied by devotional service, at least.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj. Rajmandal Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your lotus feet, and all glories to the Vaishnavas. Guru Maharaj, just in relation to what you were saying, it made me think that sometimes as devotees we accidentally offend Vaishnavas. It's not that we've done it on purpose. It's sometimes I think we've just accidentally done it and offended someone, or a devotee, or even when we're doing deity worship. Now I know there's mantras to recite when we're doing deity worship, but when we offend Vaishnavas, that's the worst. And so what do we do with that? Because I know it affects our sadhana, it affects our chanting, it just affects our spiritual life. So how do we counteract that?
How do we? You broke up right at the point you were making. You're saying how to avoid Vaishnava aparad?
Well, how to avoid Vaishnava aparad, Guru Maharaj, unintentionally, because we make mistakes, Gurudev. And sometimes I've done it myself, and then sometimes it's too late. The Vaishnava's gone or they've left, and I don't know if I'm going to see them again. So how do we unintentionally not offend the Vaishnavas? And if we do, how do we rectify that? What do we do?
Well, unknowingly, there is unknowing offenses, and they're not as severe as knowingly committing offenses, but unknowing. So generally, sometimes devotees apologize, saying, please forgive me if I committed any offense unknowingly. Sometimes we say that in a public domain. But and we also can pray to Krishna. I know I committed some offense unknowingly. I don't know what I did, but I have a feeling that because I'm not feeling happy in devotional service, it must indicate that I've committed some offense. So you can pray also. One of my god sisters, she told one story about her life. She was chanting japa, and then there was no taste in their chanting. And she was thinking, I am chanting, now I'm getting there's no taste in this chanting. So she's thinking, I must have committed offense, but I don't remember committing any offense. So she prayed to the Lord, my dear Lord, if I committed any offense unknowingly, please help me to rectify that. So the next day she gets a call from one lady who had a student who had a daughter that was in this lady's class. And this lady she was a teacher. And she said, you were teaching my daughter, but my daughter was very unhappy, and you mistreated her in class. And so she got the answer. And then she apologized, saying, yes, maybe I acted wrongly. So she sincerely apologized. And then as she describes, she went back to chanting, and it was, again, the taste started to return. So many times we don't know, we can just pray. My dear Lord, if I committed any offenses unknowingly, please forgive me and please help me to overcome or rectify that. But the knowing offenses, we should be very cautious not to fall into that pattern.
Thank you, Gurudev. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And if we go to Mayapur and to Koladweep, there's the ashram of Devananda Pandit. You can go there, and any offenses you committed knowingly or unknowingly, if you go to that ashram and pray, then automatically you're relieved of all the reactions of sinful activities committed.
What ashram is that again, Gurudev? Sorry to interrupt you.
Devananda Pandit's ashram in Koladweep.
Okay. Thank you, Gurudev. Appreciate that. It's very helpful.
Yeah, that's a special feature of Lord Chaitanya's mercy.
Thank you, Maharaj. Amritram Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I was just wondering how blessed is the Mayapur Dham, and all the glories to those who are residing there. So they have so much benefit there. So, Guru Maharaj, my question was, this is a common thing which everybody must be experiencing. We feel that people around us many times take us for granted. So how do we deal in those situations where we feel that we are taken for granted or we are taking people as bad?
Well, if you're looking for respect, you may not find it. And therefore, you might feel that something. So we shouldn't try to look for respect. Lord Chaitanya says to give respects to others and not expect any respect for oneself. So if you're expecting respect, then you may be disappointed. And if you're disappointed and you say something to retaliate, then that could be offensive. So don't expect respect from others, but give respect to others. And that's easy if we chant the holy names of the Lord, and if we are free from this desire for personal honor. Yeah. But as they say, praise and blame is only the same, just difference in name. That's all. People will criticize you. People will neglect you. People will falsely blame you for something. Don't even worry about it. It doesn't matter. If we have a false ego, then it feels like we're being punched. But if there's no false ego, there's no feeling of being slighted at all. It's due to the false ego. We want we want respect, we want some honor, we want some reciprocation for whatever we do. And that can be a problem in Krishna consciousness. It is. Serve for the sake of serving. Don't worry about happiness and distress, honor, dishonor.
Thank you, Maharaj. That helps. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you, Srimati. Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, Maharaj, all glories to all of the devotees. Excuse me. Sorry. Guru Maharaj, yesterday, excuse me. Yesterday, we were blessed with the association of Radhanath Maharaj. And in his class, he spoke about the selfless service and the compassion of some of our acharyas. And at the end of his class, a question came up about how can we as devotees or as aspiring devotees even, how can we get out of that zone of thinking about ourselves and think more about others, think more about other devotees, and be more in that more compassionate way. Radhanath Maharaj spoke about association of devotees that were that way inclined or aspiring to be that way inclined, as well as reading from the Bhagavatam and about the acharyas who have this. But I was hoping that you might be able to add something extra to help us try and get into that zone of being more selflessly serving, thinking of others, being more compassionate to others.
Well, we have to practice that. We know it's a thing that we should do, and it also brings a sense of peace and satisfaction. It's the nature of the soul to be like that. The soul is not not selfly thinking of itself all the time. The soul is always in the mood of service. So when we realize what we should do through examples or through precepts, either one, then we think, let me practice this. And when situations come up which challenges our attempts, then that's an opportunity to take shelter of the Lord and become more inclined to our spiritual nature. So it's just a matter of being aware and how to use your time in such a way as to take advantage of the situations and practice these things you want to pick up. If you want to be humble, practice humility. If you want to be tolerant, practice that. If you want to be a preacher, practice reading a lot. If you want to be a cook, go in the kitchen and watch devotees cooking. So we have to practice what we want to be or what we want to develop, either something we want to eliminate by replacing it with something spiritual, or gaining something from the activities of devotional service. How to use time in a more proficient and beneficial way. So we go to those who are doing it, or we can practice it according to our level of understanding. If we just go on in a routine thing and just go on with our own service, that's nice. But the real test is when we're in association with devotees, how we respond to others. Thinking, how do we give some happiness to others? How can we give some service to others? How can we take on some other person's difficulties as our own service to help relieve those difficulties? All of these things are just seeing how we can apply the different principles that bring about these different qualities. Practice. But you have to become aware. Usually we become aware when something becomes severe enough to cause us to be very aware. Like what happens all the time is we go along and then we get smashed and we hit the tarf really hard and we think, all right, I'm going to give up this. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to chant my rounds with more attention. And we get all determined. And then we do that for a little while. And then we go back to our old routine again. And then we get smashed again. And then we start again making all of these pledges to change. Don't wait for that. Simply practice what you want to be at every moment.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, I just have a follow-up on what you said. So we have to always be constantly trying to improve our own sadhana and not waiting for, as you said, like I'll do that later, or keep on postponing, or putting a deadline or putting a schedule later. So like that, Maharaj?
Well, for getting things done, you mean?
Yeah, and also for sadhana also, Maharaj. Like becoming serious about sadhana.
Make a schedule.
Hmm.
Stick to it. Like I keep using myself as an example. You know, when I get up in the morning, that phone goes off. I turn it on to listen to Srila Prabhupada chanting Guru Vastakam prayers and also a few other prayers that he chants. And then when I'm done with my morning ablutions, and then I'm ready to chant, that phone is off. That phone ain't going to stay on at all. It's off. I don't care if, even if Krishna calls, he's going to get, no answer. Because I'm already trying to talk to him on a different line. So that phone is off. And then when I finish my rounds, and if it's not too late in the morning, I have some time before breakfast time, then I'll read for a while. If I can't, then I'll read after breakfast. And then go on with your services. But those, I just chant 16 rounds and then don't talk to me. Don't even know. I don't even know who I am at that time. I just, yeah. So, that's the way I function. I won't do anything until I chant my 16 rounds.
Yes,
Sri
Maharaj.
Devi, she chants 40 rounds a day. How is it possible? I couldn't do that, but she does 40 rounds every day. So she has her schedule and she adheres to that schedule, and every day she finishes 40 rounds. So how does she do it? Ask her. She'll tell you she sets this much time aside and then everything else becomes secondary.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Yeah, maximum trying hard to maintain a schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the problem with you is that our online class is right up the time when you get up in the morning, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
And it's already time for class. So
Yes.
now you're just, and then you have to do your japa after that. And that makes it a little hard.
Yeah. And immediately after the class, I have to make lunch boxes and send husband and daughter to the school and office. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Teach them how to make lunch boxes.
Yeah, they know, but yeah, in the morning time, they need help. Waking up the DTs and everything goes on, Maharaj, for at least 2 hours. I'm busy. Mm.
Well, what you can do is make sure you set some time section aside of the day and just chant during that time
Yes, Maharaj.
where there's no disturbance.
Yeah. Maharaj, there is a question on chat by Vrishabh Prabhu. He's asking, Hare Krishna, Dear Gurudev and Vaishnavas, love of Godhead is defined as Hladini Shakti, manifesting in the interaction of the Lord and the pure devotee. If love of God doesn't come to us, but it is revealed from within our heart, does that mean we have Hladini Shakti in our heart? I heard Srila Prabhupada mention in one class on Radharani that jivas are actually expansions of Radharani.
Not exactly. She's Shakti Mum. She's the source of all spiritual activities and also the source of all spiritual happiness. But yeah, love of God exists in the heart. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema, Saruka Bunoy, Sravanadi Siddhi Chitte, Koriye Udoy. That's a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat, either one. It says that the love of God sits in the heart of all living entity. It's natural. It has to be awakened, and not in the process of awakening is the activities of devotional service, particularly hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord.
Bishop Prabhu, hope that helps.
Yeah. So one of the ways, if you can't find to take time for hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, just arrange for yourself to do some preaching programs, and then you can speak philosophy and you can speak about the Lord in your service as preachers. And that helps to take up that desire that cannot be found sometimes but when you try to make it in your schedule. Just preach, talk about Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Yeah, like today, I went to one temple, we did kirtan, and I gave class. After I gave class was time for breakfast. So I was sitting there just taking a little breakfast, and the devotees were there, and I said, why doesn't someone read? So someone picked up the Chaitanya Charitamrita right where I left off in class and continued reading the verses and purports. And pretty soon the atmosphere is nice and you're getting edified. Prabhupada wanted that. Now, when we take prasadam, we shouldn't be really engaging in conversation. Said you should be hearing during the time of prasadam, hearing about Krishna. So he started a whole program of devotees reading from different shastras at different meals. And everyone would sit and absorb themselves in taking prasad and listening to nectar devotion or Krishna book or even Srimad Bhagavatam during the time when you take prasad. I can't sit and eat prasadam by myself. Can't do it. And I have no desire to eat. But if I sit there and I turn on Srila Prabhupada's classes when I'm taking prasadam, then I can actually get through the prasadam part. Otherwise, I can't do it. So I feel like I'm in association with Prabhupada, hearing from him, getting nourished by prasadam, getting nourished by his vakya, his transcendental sound vibration.
Yes, Maharaj.
Everybody got one of these? You have one of these? Not everybody have one of these?
Maharaj, we got that, but it's not working, Maharaj. I think they stopped manufacturing that box now.
No, it's still being manufactured.
But the boxes which I got, the box which I got, it's not working, Maharaj.
Well, I'm right in the place where I can get as many boxes as you want.
Yeah, I would
All I
like
have
to.
to do is tomorrow I'll see the person, I'll say, give me 10 boxes.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
He'll give me 10 boxes. So if you want, I'll get a whole bunch of boxes and bring them to France for the retreat.
Yeah, thank you so much. Because I wanted that, and I asked you for the contact, and we got the boxes, but somehow they are not working. They don't
Why
have
don't
an instruction manual also to how to do that.
it's easy? Are you sure you got something different than what I showed you?
No, the same thing we got, Maharaj. The same
It's
person.
easy. You turn it on and it works.
We don't know. We got some.
It works in a chronological number order. If you want to change the chronology, there's numbers on the outside. You just push the number, and then you get the lecture that corresponds with that number.
Yeah, but the batteries or the system itself, it's not starting and it's not giving anything. The sound is not
Guess
coming.
you must have a bad one then, that's all.
Yeah.
The thing works, don't worry. I listen to it every day.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. I thought of asking. Thanks you for telling that. Yeah, if you can
Did
please.
I bring some to the thing?
Yes, Maharaj,
I'll
if
try.
your luggage permits, yeah, please. Thank you so much.
Problem is India, because anything you travel with batteries, if you put it in your check-in luggage, they find it in your check-in luggage, and after you check it in, they call you to find out what it is. And if you put it in your carry-on luggage, they inspect it and make you take it apart and show them what it is. And India is really bad for batteries.
Yes, Maharaj.
Anything that has batteries in it. Right, Sri Devi? You have that same problem with batteries. Anyway, I ordered one from ISKCON Surat and one of them exploded. I don't know where you guys get. Where are you getting it from? You're getting it from some bootleg manufacturer or something?
Actually, just like Srimati, I had the same problem, Maharaj. I bought a very nice jukebox full of Prabhupada lectures. It worked for a little time and then it went bust. So then I returned it to that person. He gave me another piece. It worked for a little time and it's gone bust. This time he's taken it back saying, I will give you replacement. I will give you replacement. Till now, he has not given me replacement. And this is Srila Prabhupada media services something. So they're all devotees, but the quality, I don't know what's with the quality. It's
You're talking
really
about this thing here?
no, it's a different style, Maharaj. It's a different
But
style.
this is the one that works.
Oh,
Yeah, this is the one Maharaj is showing on that one which I got also. Maharaj, you only gave me the contact that Mataji in Delhi.
You see, these are numbers here,
Yeah,
and you just punch in the number, and then you have a little book that shows you that number corresponds with a certain lecture, and you punch in that number, that lecture comes up. And if you don't punch in the number, it plays in systematic order, that's all. It'll just go through the different numbers chronologically, but you can always change the order anytime you want. And there's lectures on everything. There's over 2,200 lectures on this
yes, Maharaj.
little device here. Has batteries in the back here, both sides.
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, can you give the contact of the person who sells these?
Well, I know the person who makes them, but I also know the person who gets them from the person who makes them. So which one do you want?
Anything is fine, Maharaj, so that I can reach the other person.
I'll see him tomorrow. I have lunch with him tomorrow, so I'll just say, he asked me yesterday, he said, you want some more boxes? I said, I don't need any. So
Oh, I
now,
would like one too, Guru Maharaj, because I'm also I'm struggling without hearing Prabhupada. I just do the same thing. I hear Prabhupada the moment I wake up, and I'm really missing that.
why don't you go in the room there where I stored all my stuff? And there's one box that has a bunch of odds and ends in it. It's a big box. Open it up and you'll find one box in there. And
Oh,
you
great.
can take it. It's in your house right there.
Okay, I'll look for
I,
it. Thank you so much.
it's a white box, just a white, no label on the outside. It's just a square white box.
Okay, and it looks just like this one?
Well, that's what's inside, but it's just a square white box. That's
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Maharaj, yeah.
I'll see if I can get a bunch of them. Just there's a problem of transporting them with all the batteries in there. That's the problem.
Yeah. Maybe that Prabhu can help you, Maharaj, about that.
Yeah, India is really bad with batteries. Anything that has any kind of battery in it, whether it's in check-in or in carry-on, they inspect it. And sometimes they make you throw away the batteries.
Yeah. Trupti Mataji, what?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Hare Krishna to all devotees. Yes, Maharaj, I ordered two from Surat, and one of them I gave it to your disciple, Nilachandra Prabhu, Shyama Devi's husband, as a gift, and here with the headphone and everything, and the actual thing is exploded while
You're getting it from the wrong place. There's only one place to get it from, and that's in Delhi. I don't know.
It was from the Surat ISKCON temple, Guru Maharaj.
No, forget it.
And yeah, and so
the manufacturer, the person who created it, stays in Delhi. I know him personally. He's the one that started it, and now people are imitating it and trying to make the same thing, and therefore it's not coming out the way this exploding thing means that they don't know what they're doing. Get it from the source.
Okay, Guru Maharaj, if I could trouble you
I
too.
can give you the name of the person.
Okay. I believe Satyabhama Mataji is coming to France to the disciple retreat. So if you can trouble yourself to bring it, I would be humbly. Thank you.
I can bring one or two, but it's hard
Just
to
one.
really do a lot. I'll give you a phone